Hey guys, Buff and Game Bat today bringing you a video, and today we're going over this new extraction shooter coming out in early access here in 2024 called Grayzone Warfare. So Grayzone Warfare, I was fortunate enough to get some early access to some information here that we'll be going over a little bit of it today. There's going to be plenty more to come in the future. And this is a game, again, it's a more modern military type extraction shooter, which I am really looking forward to. And I think if you guys obviously have followed the channel, you know this is right up my alley for sure. So the big thing here with this game is it is a modern day military PMC type extraction shooter. Now, we were provided, the creators here that were given this information early, were provided with an interview with Sean McFate, who is a military expert, author, professor, and strategic analyst for the game. He's been brought on board to kind of advise with the real-life accuracy of a lot of instances that are going on with this game as far as the island itself, which we're going to go over here in the video. The island, what kind of gear the people on the island will be using, what kind of languages they will be speaking, the cultural aspects, how military operations would be working PMC to PMCs, and then also the game here developed by Madfinger Games, Grayzone Warfare, has brought in military experts as far as player movement, so they're moving like real military personnel, PMCs, Special Operative Forces, all of that. So with this game, again, coming out in early access sometime here in 2024, and the information we were given, we do have a decent amount of things here, but I'm not going to go over some of it, and we'll probably break it into a couple of videos because there is quite a lot of information. But in this video with Sean McFate, done by Rick Legis, who's the head of communications at Madfinger Games, so Sean is a Pentagon advisor, and he was a former Army paratrooper who went into contracting and ended up doing freelancing, and he's the one who's, like I said, is advising on Grayzone Warfare and the PMCs. So this interview was really informative, and we learned a lot of things as far as what Grayzone Warfare means with the title itself. So Grayzone Warfare is pretty much what it sounds like, operating in the gray zone. Special Operation Forces, there's never like a time of peace, never a time of full war. You're always kind of in between up and down time. So there's always heightened alert, things like that. You're operating in the gray zone, so there's not one side or the other. You're always kind of in that middle ground, is what this means. So the PMCs, there's going to be 3 factions here of PMCs when this launches into early access sometime here in 2024. The PMC groups are the Limang Recovery Initiative, the Mithra's Security System, and the Crimson Shield International. And each PMC faction has their own backstory. And at launch here in early access, they'll pretty much be similar type of PMC groups. And as the game develops further into early access, they're going to differentiate them more, more different gears, presets, things like that. Each PMC group will spawn at different places on the island, but for a brief history here on the island, there's a backstory and a whole backstory that was prepared for this game, which I think is very good and attention to detail here. So the name of the island is Limang. The official country name is the Democratic Republic of Limang, located somewhere in Southeast Asia. The area size is 430 kilometers squared. The population is 74,470 on the island. The president is Narith Savong, and the official language is Lao and English. So it's a former British colony, which was eventually working hand in hand with the Soviet Union through the Soviets' reign. When the Soviets collapsed, Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the island kind of branched out and portrayed itself as a more civilized type of island that it really is, and there was a catastrophic disaster which happened, which is up to the player to find out what that disaster was. There's a lot of rumors as to what this event was, whether it was a meteor crash, volcanic eruption, aliens. So that's kind of part of the mission here, part of the background for the game is, as a PMC, this is kind of an unfolding story that you'll discover live as you play as to what this event kind of happened, which plunged the island into disaster, and everything changed after this event, and the island was evacuated, and that opened it up for a lot of criminal operations, underground activity, given that the island was largely abandoned. Thus, coming in is the PMCs. So the PMCs coming in, and again, your goal here, they really are aiming not to have it as a mindless go in and extract items that you'll never really use, like we're seeing in some games, potentially, DMZ. I know we did a lot of that, extracting things that you don't really use. Even Tarkov does it, hand lotion things. You're going in and doing things that you would never really use, and you're turning into traders. However, some of them obviously serve purposes, but that's not their goal here. Everything's supposed to have a purpose to further the story. You have tasks, you have missions that you can do, and it's more attention to detail, and it sounds like it's a much more grounded type of extraction shooter. There's also different characters or vendors, essentially, that you will be interacting with to get your tasks and missions from. You have 3 that we have detailed here is Anton Jackson, or Gunny. He's a former U.S. Marine. You have Loya Hoing, or Artesian. You also have James Miller, or Banshee. Now, based on what we see with these characters, there's some additional ones here. So 6 in total that I can see with the screenshots we were provided. So you have Artesian, Banshee, Gunny, Handshake, Lab Rat, and Turncoat for your traders or vendors, and that's where you'll get different missions and gain experience from. Like with Gunny, you can see you're going to do recon. The rewards you'll get are a recon vest, you'll get an AMP-12 backpack, and additional XP. You can see those are part of the traders, characters, tactical devices. There's a lot of stuff here, and that's where you'll interact with them. There's going to be more added down the road. So this is a pretty exciting game, I would say. One that I'm definitely looking forward to, especially with their attention to detail. Now, the quests themselves, like I said, you're not just going in. Their main focus is not to go in and just find X amount of pieces or bring back Y type of items. You're going in with a purpose. Each mission, each task is going to have a purpose to further the story, and whatever you're going in and doing is a useful type of mission. You're not, like, for example, in DMZ, we're not going in and just extracting video recording devices, right? Because that served no purpose in the story other than just giving you something mindless to do, essentially. So there's none of that going on here in the game, and you can choose to go through the tasks and further the story, or if you don't want to go on the trajectory that they have, you can kind of freelance it in the open world. It is an open world, and still progress the story, although it won't be as the best way to do so. But it does look like a lot of fun. Players can look forward to 150 quests at early access launch with Grayzone Warfare, and more will be added down the road. Now, as far as weapons and gear, things like that go, we can see decent amount of weapons here in the trailer. I'll have more information about that stuff down the road as far as the weapon breakdowns, gear, all of that, and we'll be getting into more of that down the road when that information comes out as we get closer to early access. But like I said, although Grayzone, they're saying Grayzone isn't strictly a narrative-driven experience, there is a story there that players can engage with if they wish to, or you go off on your own and do your own thing, but you're still going to get a story out of it. The focus is on environmental storytelling and optional intel items, so notes, books, newspapers, etc., that players can find in the world and uncover more about Lemming's past and the situation, the event that led to the evacuation. All of that you're going to discover as the player in real time. Now, the good thing about this is this game is like I said, an extraction shooter with non-stop servers. So the servers are always going. They're going to be essentially dynamic day-night servers, so there's never a start or a finish to a match. There's also not set spawns. The 3 different PMCs will spawn in different areas of the map, but there is no set spawns. Therefore, you look at, say, from Tarkov, everyone knows where the spawns are at the start of the raid. People go over and can kill you. That's not the case here. You'll spawn in different areas of this very large map, or sections, I should say, but there's no set spawn locations. It'll be randomized, and it's a day-night, 24/7 type server. So people are going to be coming in and out all the time. There's no predictability. There's no start or stop to a raid. It just keeps going. You go in, do what you need to do, get out. You can log off for a couple hours, come back tomorrow. That game session or server will still be in progress. So that's the cool thing about this game. I think this is kind of almost the next step of these extraction shooters. And In the background, you would have seen some of the new footage here from the trailer that we were provided as creators and some of the footage from the trailers that have already been out there. But I think this, just personal, after reviewing all the information, watching the trailers, this is a game that I am very excited for. This is pretty much my ideal type of game. So I'm definitely going to be upgrading my PC if needed to play this. But this is one that I'm really looking forward to, and especially playing it with friends. This looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to play. The combat looks good. The attention to detail, the weapons. I know we're going to be talking about this more on the scope next week over on Crash's channel on Monday or Tuesday, because Monday is Christmas. But there's a lot of attention to detail here. And again, by working with military consultants, people like Sean McFate, who is a military expert, former Army paratrooper, contractor, you're getting experts who are advising on this game to keep it grounded in a realism type, the perfect blend of realism and gaming, right? This is more of a tactical extraction shooter, and it's abiding by more realistic type gameplay mechanics, movement, things like that to keep everything grounded. And that, I think, all goes into what we're seeing here with the lore of the game, the background of the characters, the environment, the island's history, the again, the attention to detail with the story that they provided us with, how the Soviet Union influenced and worked with the island's government in the early stages of the Vietnam War up through the end of the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's a really, really great story. I'm very excited to play this game. And again, I'll be bringing you guys more information as far as weapons breakdowns, what weapons we have, gear, the different PMC factions, more details on them when we see them. And again, they're going to be largely similar at release of early access. However, they're going to differentiate them more. So I have a feeling, different PMC factions right now, the descriptions are funded by different billionaires, how they start up, but, is one going to be different Russian type PMC faction, things like that? We're going to be seeing more of that, and they'll be differentiated more, starting with different type of weapons, gear, things like that. You can tell by the description that some are probably influenced more so supposed to be real life PMC factions, like maybe Wagner Group, maybe formerly known as Blackwater. So they've kind of used real world inspirations to develop this, which I really appreciate. This is a game that's definitely right up my alley. I'm really looking forward to it. Let me know your thoughts below on Grayzone Warfare, and I'll be bringing you more information about this as we get it down the road. And again, I think this is kind of the perfect game that I've always envisioned playing, almost like a non-stop gameplay loop, 24/7 dynamic type server that's going, and you go in, do what you need to do, get out. It's always an active, almost like a real world type experience to a degree. And extraction shooters are definitely my favorite. I think extraction shooters are more addicting and rewarding than any other type of game, battle royale or anything like that out there. So I'm really excited for this. Let me know your thoughts down below. Grayzone Warfare. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be bringing you a lot more about Grayzone Warfare from Madfinger Games as we get close to it. And Madfinger Games is not a small studio. This is a studio with experience. They developed, this is their first plunge into games like this, but they have been around and they've developed some big, maybe, I think, mainly mobile games. But clearly they have the funding and the resources behind them to make this potentially one of the greatest extraction shooters to date. So I'm really excited. Let me know your thoughts down below. Till next time, this is Buffner Gaming with Grayzone Warfare. Next time, Buffner Gaming out.